So the boys had to come first, whatever I was doing in my life. But as I got older, I could start to put myself first. And it wasn't easy for me. So anyway, with that in mind, here's me, Sarah, going out there and doing what she's doing, trying her best. I was very naive when I was younger, very, very naive. But, you know, I've made mistakes. But I tried to carry on with my health. I'm sorry this has been more than one video. And when this hit me and I went home, it was scary. They hadn't dealt with me the right way. They hadn't treated me the right way. They hadn't talked to me the way that they should talk to a patient. They didn't do anything right. And I found out that when in the beginning of getting the care, I mean, they did eventually end up doing a couple of tests on me. But anyway, when they don't give you the right care and when they write things in your notes, and if they mess up and then they get confused and the notes become a joke, then that has a knock effect. I found out it has done for me in my experience. It's had a knock-on effect in the time that I've been like this, because they just keep looking to those notes, and there have been, I would say, lies. I don't think they particularly told lies. I don't know what's gone off, but there've been untruths as well, very much so. So like when we've been pushing to see people and we've been wondering why, I've learned the hard way that up until recently, if you're not on the list, you know, if you don't see them within 2 to 3 months, you're off the list. And when we found out why, we found out that we never even got the letter. And they said, oh, we thought you'd refuse the treatment. No, we didn't even get the letter. We were worried we'd been thrown off the list, and we had. And things like that happened where they refused things that they shouldn't have refused. And I've been told by other doctors. It was a mess. I had doctors fighting against doctors backing me up against others. They just weren't doing the jobs. And this went on with them only testing urine, doing like deficiency tests. I think they might have tested my blood count once, maybe twice if I was lucky. And my husband's carrying me in because I'm not able to walk in there. We didn't have a wheelchair, we didn't have a scooter. So he's carrying me in all the time, piggybacking me. So now his joints are bad because of it. And that was going on for a few years. I didn't know I could get one. I didn't know anything about the system. I've never had these problems before. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how it worked. We just struggled stupidly, which has had a knock-on effect with my husband's help. So anyway, they said we can get you a wheelchair from the system. They gave us a wheelchair, and just a very basic one. But we hired one for a while because my husband couldn't cope with carrying me and piggy me back everywhere, or I just wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't doing anything. Usually I couldn't, but you know what I mean, guys. I think you get what I'm trying to tell you, don't you? You know, if there was any time that I could leave the house, even for appointments, my husband was carrying me and piggybacking me everywhere. And for many years, that's the only time the main reason, 9 out of 10 times I was only going, I was going for that reason, appointments. I was having to force myself to them because I didn't feel well enough most of the time, and I wasn't getting any joy out of leaving the house because I wasn't going for myself. And it got to a stage where I was getting upset and I needed time out after the appointments. I've had 11 holes up and down me. I felt like I was a drug addict, and I know I shouldn't be joking about that because I do have respect and feel sorry for people. It's supposed to be disease. I'm not going to go into that. But they couldn't get blood from me. The people who used to take blood at the hospital used to say, we can tell you're poorly. I've been to various hospitals for that. We can tell you're poorly because your veins aren't very good. My weight has always stayed the same for decades until I had health problems, and it's gone like, woo! Better not do that. Good job I got this on. Anyway, with that in mind, I mean, after that week that I come out of the hospital, we're just struggling, and it's just the general test. They did do, I think, an MRI in the beginning. I don't know. And they did do a lumbar puncture, take 40 drops of spinal fluid. They had to hold my leg. It wasn't pleasant. I kicked up a fuss once because everything was burning in my body. One of the problems I had, these things were dangerous that were happening to me. And at one point, I got pins and needles in my arm and my hand, and most in my foot, and then both feet, and spreading up my legs. They were on fire. And I was terrified. I don't know what was going on. Hang on. Sorry guys, family needing me, as always. I'm still the matriarch, even though I don't feel like it. They expect me to be. So I can't remember exactly where I got to. I'm going to try and wrap the story up a little bit more. But anyway, it's been absolutely crazy, and I wonder if my colourful life led to me having these problems. I don't understand it. I thought I was a superhero. I kept myself healthy. Why has this happened to me? Why have I ended up with health problems? All right, I had someone when I was younger, and I thought, you think when you're young yourself, even in your 20s and 30s, you think, you know, you've got away with it. If you seem to have been all right all that time, you don't think it's going to happen. But then if you've had any sort of sign of anything when you were younger, normally it comes back to bite you. I don't know, maybe other people's situations are different, but that hasn't been mine. So I've got heart problems, 4 of them. That's what they found out. I've got 4 heart problems. I don't know if they're life-threatening or not. I've given up looking on the internet because it's just depressed me. I mean, I'm cutting a lot of the story out here because it's been like I've been threatened, I've been persecuted, I've been accused of stuff. When people try to make money out of me, accused of stuff by people who haven't known me. Most of them didn't know me. People who didn't know our situation if they did know me. People who haven't been in my life for a couple of years. And once they've realised what the situation is, they've apologised. But I have been absolutely, I've heard it all. The system, of course, wasn't a lot better. And this is where I think that I've got worse. Side effects have been left untreated, undiagnosed for so long. It's when they called me into our local hospital twice. Once they thought my body was going to stop functioning, and then 3 to 4 months later, they thought I was going to die, and I nearly did. They caught it in time. Obviously, here I am. I'm not dead. I'm not a zombie. I can laugh at that bit, but it leaves you a bit oversensitive. So anyway, sorry, no peace. So yeah, I found out that, of course, I didn't know we had health problems in the family. I've always been telling the doctors that nothing in the family, and I found out most of the time I've been like this, that if anything that I'd known, well, any health problems that are hereditary, it changes your care. That's been my experience, and they would have given me different care, but I didn't know. And, you know, my family don't tend to talk about things like this. They tend to just try and get on with it and pave over it. You don't get ill, you don't get injured. If you do, you just get on with it and get over it and pretend it's not happening. And it doesn't happen. You just move on from it. You're expected to move on from it. And, you know, yeah, I haven't been able to. Anyway, I've got a blood clotting problem because it's so slight. It wasn't there before, not they found out, but because it's so slight, they don't normally take notice of it, but they have monitored it to make sure in case it goes out. They don't always take notice of it, but like I said, it's not life-threatening at the moment. At least I don't think it's changed. It hasn't been checked in years, but it's something I didn't have before, this blood clotting problem. I have also, what else? I'm just trying to get my head straight now. So I also have the thyroid problem. I mean, it runs in the family. We found out again recently. My mum's cousins have it, and one of them had cancer. I think one of them had cancer, or 2 of them had cancer. But they had severe thyroid problems. Mine, that's why my weight goes up and down. It's just all over the place. I only found out last week that they should be monitoring every 6 to 8 weeks, but they told me to go away until a couple of months ago, where they had to check for something else and decided to happen to check for that as well. But they haven't specifically checked for my thyroid, and they've told me to come back, go away sort of thing. The attitude was, come back. Couldn't come back for 6 months, they said. And it's like last week, oh, did you know? Did anyone tell you? You're supposed to have your thyroid monitored every 6 to 8 weeks. Brilliant. Looking forward to having a blood test, more blood tests. I didn't want any more prodding and poking, but got to put myself through it. So anyway, sorry about that. Always needed. And what else have I got? The thyroid, I've got the hypermobility. It runs in the family, mostly on my dad's side. I've ended up, well, what else have I got? Suspected arthritis, but they never bothered to check. But my rheumatologist said that it runs in the family as well. He said it's likely. And my son seemed to have some of the symptoms I've got as well. But they've never gone for a diagnosis. What else have I got? Fibromyalgia. My rheumatologist said he's never known anybody have the health problems I've got and be in the state I've in without having it. Right, I'm trying to get my head straight. Digestive problems. So damn severe that I need to see a gastro dietitian, but they've only mentioned it recently. I'm trying to get my head straight now because there's so much. There are probably other things going off and I can't remember every single thing. But I've got all sorts going off with my body, and I've now ended up with allergies, and my body acts like it's got allergies to loads of things which are debilitating.